Okay, once again, welcome to Club Officer Training. And the title of this is Ever Guest Ready. And I will get to what the meaning behind that title momentarily. But first, I always like to start with the Toastmasters mission and values. So we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Toastmasters builds communicators and leaders. The club mission, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. The club is where the hard work is done, and a good club is somewhere where members are comfortable to get outside their comfort zone. They're willing to try new things. They're willing to risk messing up. I heard somebody say people are not afraid of public speaking. They're afraid of not being perfect, and they're afraid of looking foolish. We want to surround them and make them comfortable with, yeah, hey, you're going to mess up from time to time. Toastmasters International core values: integrity, respect, service, and excellence. For those of you who've been in my training before, you have the built-in acronym RISE. But Toastmasters chose to put integrity because without integrity, nothing else matters. So, issues facing clubs. And I can pretty much say every club that is struggling with membership, and every club at one time or another has struggled with the membership issue. One is getting guests to attend meetings. Two, converting guests to members. Or three, getting members to renew. There's a little bit of a typo in there. The one I am going to address tonight is converting guests into members. You have people attending the meeting. You may have 1, 2, 6, 8 different people attending your club, but you're not getting them to get over the finish line. They're not signing the application, they're not paying the dues. Okay, the gentleman on the screen is Matt Kinsey. He is the president of Toastmasters International. If you received an email from his office saying that he wanted to attend one of your club meetings, how would you react? Would you be excited? Would you make sure your club looked awesome? Would you make sure that the communication was there? Well, I can honestly say a member right off the street is more important than Matt Kinsey, because as good as your club may be, he's not joining your club. He's a member of several clubs. He's not coming to this area to join your club. But the guests who you just met, they may be the future of your club. So initial contact, what message are you sending? When people first come in contact with your club, I'm talking before they even set foot in the door, what is the first thing are you sending out? So, I know there's going to be other methods that people find the club, but these are the primary ones. The find a club feature on the Toastmasters International website, where they type in a zip code and the clubs in the area pop up. Meetup. For those of you who don't know, the district funds a meetup account that clubs have access to. Social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Do you have a social media profile? Club website. Does your club have a website? Some use Free Toast, Easy Speak, or some have their own website. Company postings. Are you part of a corporate club? Does your company allow you to advertise Toastmasters meetings? And the best advertising, whether it's Toastmasters or any other product, is word of mouth. So on Find a Club, is your information up to date? Any officer can go in and access the profile on the district via Club Central, where the club's meeting. This is something, especially as clubs transition back to in-person meetings. Is the current location right? Are you back at the location you were previously? Or are you at a new location? Are you still meeting at the same time? That is very important to find out, because you don't want a prospective member going to a meeting location and no one's there. Meetup. Again, what does your meetup profile look like? Is it just the name of your club and the next meeting? Or do you have details on there? Do you have a picture of your group? We encourage clubs to take updated pictures of the group. Show that you're a warm, welcome, inviting place for people to come. Social media. Are you updating your social media account regularly? Showing pictures of your meeting, but not only club specific. It should be a nice mix of public speaking, leadership growth articles along with your meeting, because people are just going to say, oh, they're just advertising their next meeting. But if you get them going there regularly, they're more likely to notice and be checking it regularly. Club website, again, is that up to date? Company postings, make sure you're highlighting the successes of your members. This is going out to all their coworkers. So if somebody gets an icebreaker, if somebody achieves a level award, somebody gets a DTM, somebody wins the speech contest, put it in your company's newsletter. Make sure you check and make sure it's approved. But this way, highlight the people, highlight the club. Word of mouth. Make sure all your members know they are the best form of communication, is inviting friends, inviting relatives, inviting coworkers. Spread the word of Toastmasters, because if they've been a Toastmaster for a while, they've probably seen the benefits of it. Have them spread the word. Okay. Prior to the meeting, what is your first contact with the members? From experience, usually email. Usually we'll get an email, whether it's from Find a Club or someone will email the club directly. Get back to them right away. The sooner you can get back to them, the better. I joined my home club, Mainline Toastmasters. One of the reasons was I'd sent an email, and about an hour later, I received a message from the president inviting me to come check out the meeting. That made me feel special, and it gave me one more incentive to go. Make sure in that email, and you can use the canned email, just make sure that you can personalize it with the next meeting date, and if they ask a specific question, answer that question. But you don't want to get into too much detail. But just to say a little bit about the club, when your next meeting is, you invite them, say you love to see them. And what I usually do with the email, I send an attachment. On the website, there is a thing called the benefits of Toastmasters. That's a nice little attachment. The trick with the email is you want to give a lot of detail, but you don't want to make it too long that somebody's not going to read. Again, if you're meeting in person, you want to give clear directions on how to get to the club. If you're meeting in a church and they have 20 rooms, you want to let them know the room number and how to get there. So you want to make it as easy as possible for them to come in. If you're meeting virtually, make sure that they know how to access the meeting, whether you're on Zoom or another platform. Make sure that they understand the meeting link, and then also resend the meeting link. If you notice, we resent the meeting link for this training this morning. So even though you may send it with their initial email, you want to send them a reminder 24, 48 hours before the meeting. That way it's at the top of their email box and they don't have to look for it. Getting back with directions, if you're meeting in person, parking tips. Give them some guidance, because some places parking is tough. So let them know these are good places to park, and some of the rules go there. Also, let them know what the expectations and requirements are. People are unfamiliar with Toastmasters. They may have done a little research, or somebody may have said, you need to join a Toastmasters club. So just let them know the first meeting, there are no expectations. Just come, enjoy yourself. That's how you're going to learn. You may want to mention if there's any dress requirements, because if a club maybe is a little more formal, somebody who shows up in shorts and a t-shirt may not feel comfortable. So just let them know if business casual or better, or if it's come as you are, whatever the club culture says. Just remember with this is people are afraid to come to a Toastmasters meeting. They think they're going to have to give a speech that first night. You want to make sure that you make them comfortable from the beginning and just make it as easy as possible. Don't give them any excuses not to come. Arrival at the meeting. Okay, the appearance. What does the meeting room look like? Again, going back to in-person meetings, is it well organized? If somebody shows up 15 minutes before the meeting, or is the room organized? Is there a podium? Or agendas laid out? Does it look like somebody prepared it like a professional business meeting? Or are people scattered around and it looks very disorganized? That is an ultimate first appearance where they're going to judge you on that. We want to show ourselves as a professional organization. Welcome them. Most clubs, I'm going to make some assumptions during this training that if, most clubs will meet twice a month. So you may be chatting with somebody you haven't seen in a couple weeks, couple months. If a guest walks in the door, end that conversation right then and there and go welcome the guest. Because again, the guest is nervous to come in. You want to make them feel welcome from the beginning. Introduce yourself, introduce them around, get them a name tag, confirm their contact information, assure them that we're not going to spam them to death. We're not going to be selling their contact information. This is just so we can follow up with them and inform them of upcoming meetings. One of the biggest questions you can ask in the beginning is why? Why did they seek out Toastmasters? That'll be a nice conversation starter. You learn about them and find out their motivation for joining. Give them an overview of the meeting. Look, some people have never been to a Toastmasters meeting before. They have no idea what to expect. Others may have been to a meeting before, or they may have seen online, but nothing shows what a Toastmasters meeting is more than being at a Toastmasters meeting. So just quick overview of the agenda. Make sure that they get a copy of the agenda. Let them know what their expectations are. And this will vary from club to club. One of my clubs, we do introductions where everybody stands up, says their name, and usually there's a question of the day. So just let them know to be expecting that and that they can do it to their comfort level. Again, I've seen people who were very comfortable doing, others who it took every ounce of strength they had just to get up and say their name. Give them the best seat in the house. Make sure that they have a prime view. Make them feel special. Prime view of the speaking area. That way they can fully incorporate the meeting. I call it a member buddy. Have somebody who will sit next to them that can explain the agenda, ask any questions as they go along. Okay. During the meeting, introduce the member, the guest. Welcome the guest. Make them feel special. Again, even if your club doesn't do introductions, have them say why they came to Toastmasters. Explain the roles and the purpose of it. Those of us who've been around Toastmasters long enough, we take for granted that everyone knows the purpose of the roles. But for a guest, somebody new to Toastmasters, they may not understand it. Well, why do you do the grammarian role? Why do you do the counter? Why do you time speeches? Explain the purpose behind that. The next one is one I am as guilty of as anybody. Beware of Toastmasters speak. As Toastmasters, we throw around terms like DTM, grammarian, counter, that type of thing. for granted, thinking everybody's going to understand it. So be aware, if you're using something that is unique to Toastmasters, explain it in detail to people. Table topics. This is a good opportunity for guests to get involved in the meeting. And explain to them the table topics are supposed to be fun, and this is a transferable skill outside of Toastmasters. So, encourage them and let them know it's supposed to be fun, and let the table topics master know. Give the newer members an easier question. Make them feel good about themselves. They may not make it to the full minute for table topics, but just getting up there is A, making them feel involved, and B, they're stretching themselves. Make sure that some clubs have excellent speakers, like top-notch speakers, and guests will look at them and go, well, I'm never going to be as good as them. They are intimidated. It's like, well, I won't fit in here. Just let them know, in most cases, most of the excellent speakers I've seen, they're a result of Toastmasters. That they are a picture of what Toastmasters can do. So don't let them be intimidated. Have them set that as a goal. Same thing with evaluations. Let them know that if somebody is a good speaker is being evaluated, the evaluator may be a little tougher on them than they would be on a newer member. So just explain to them the power of evaluations. Lastly, solicit feedback. Ask the guests at the end of the meeting what they thought of the meeting. They're probably going to have a favorable thing. I've seen a couple hundred guests over the years. I think only one or two had said, yeah, no, this club isn't for me. For the most part, they're very positive, but invite them back at the end of the meeting. Say, well, please come back. This way you're getting them to verbally accept the invitation, and B, they make their opinion known. Okay. After the meeting, engage the member in conversation. Have one or two members talk to them, get their feedback when they're not in a crowd environment. Find out what questions they have, and find out how you can help them pursue their goals. For online meetings, clubs can do little breakout rooms, and have the guests go one and men with experienced members. Have guest packets. I will talk a little bit more about this at the end of the meeting. With guest packets, but you want to give them something to take home. Again, this is assuming that you have in-person meetings. For those of you still with online meetings, you can create a virtual guest packet, and this way they have some Toastmasters information. The one thing you should always make sure is in the guest packet is an application and a dues schedule. Invite them to the next meeting. Say, we'd love to see you. This is one of those things where there's no wrong answer. They're usually going to say, oh, yes, I'm going to be here. That's great. Or if they're not, say, well, it's not for me. Okay, well, just let them know. The organization's been around for almost 100 years. The club's been around for X many. We meet these days. Let them know when they're ready. If they're ready to join, have them work with the vice president membership and the treasurer to get paid. So there is no wrong answer. We actually encourage guests to check out the club a couple times before they join, because we want to make sure that they're the right fit, that we are the right environment to help them with their development. Because as much as we'd like to take their money, and we want them to see the value in it. And then lastly, follow up. Follow up with them, send them an email, personalized email the next day, and just say, glad you could come. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions. And then send them meeting reminders. You don't want to harass them, but you want to keep it up. So pretty much you send follow-up emails, letting them know when the next meeting is until they tell you to stop or they join. Okay. How to join. Explain the application process to them. This is one where Toastmasters is different than most of the world. People are under the expectation they can go on the website and fill out the application and join that way. They can fill out the application online and then send it, but it still needs to be submitted through the club. So just make sure that they're aware of that, it's still the old style where they actually have to fill it out either on the computer or in writing, and then scan it in and email it to somebody. Payment method. You want to make sure the payment is as easy as possible for them, whether it's PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, Cash App. The more of these you can take, the better. If your bank has an account, they may want to be able to send a check there. Other than officers, members cannot pay their dues to Toastmasters International directly. It is something in progress, but it's not there yet. So probably within the next year, we hope that members will be able to pay directly. Any questions so far? Here is the goal that I want everybody to be. You want a guest to come in, and you want them to say, I want to be a part of that. That is the key. Not that they join, it's that they see something special in your club. Most of you saw something special in the club, in the members, and that's why you joined. You want to show that. You want people excited about joining Toastmasters. Over the years, I've seen, some people join Toastmasters, they expect it to be a magic bullet where, I joined Toastmasters, I'm going to be a better speaker, I'm going to be a better leader. They don't realize that they have the work to do. And being surrounded by special people, that will help their journey grow. So once they join, you want to get them off to a strong start. It's one of the issues that we have is, okay, you get them to the so and then all of a sudden they feel like they're on their own, and this is where you get into the problem with membership retention. So process the application promptly, whether it's the VP membership, treasurer, whoever is processing the application. Make sure they get it into Toastmasters International right away, and they process the payment. That's when the member is going to get a new the emails welcoming them aboard. But as soon as you process the application, let the member know, I processed your application. You should be receiving an email shortly from Toastmasters International. That way, they know to look for it. Especially with Gmail, a lot of Toastmasters emails do go to their spam folder. So have them take a look and make sure that they're getting the email and they're responding to it. Encourage them to ask any questions getting set up. Encourage them to go to a new member orientation. A number of clubs have a new member orientation regularly for their members to explain that the club. This is one of my pet projects at the district level. I actually have a new member orientation coming up this Thursday. You can register for it online or encourage your new members to check it out. My goal is to be doing that twice a month. Usually it's on a Sunday and on a weeknight. And I just go over give an overview of what Toastmasters International is. From a new guest standpoint, they're only seeing it at the club level. They don't realize they're part of a worldwide organization with clubs in, I think it's 130 countries. Explain pathways. You don't want to go into too much detail with going into pathways. You want to give an overview of what it is and the purpose behind it. Explain level 1 and level 2 are just about getting your basic foundation skills in. You may want to talk about level 3, level 4, and level 5, but you don't want to go over in too much detail because it's going to be information overload. Encourage the new members to take on meeting roles. One of my latest things is you don't get better by not doing something. Encourage them to be the timer, the grammarian, the counter, run table topics, or at least get involved in participating in table topics. Assure them that this is a learn by doing organization. This is where you're not here to be perfect. That's one of the things somebody said to me at a meeting. It's like, well, I don't want to do that role until I know I can do it perfectly. A, you're not expected to do it perfectly. And B, you will never do it perfectly. There is always a way to do it better or at least different. Assign the new members mentors. Have them a more experienced Toastmaster. Work with them for their first couple speeches. Work out the details, how to do an icebreaker, some tips, make them feel reassured. And especially if they don't have any friends in the club, they at least have a friendly face who's going to be on their side. They feel that's going to be on their side, supporting them when they're giving their icebreaker. Encourage them to visit activities outside the club. This is the perfect time of year to do that. We are in the middle of speech contest season. They're all online. They can be accessed through the district website under the contest tabs. Have them check out and see some of the wonderful speakers we have in this district. Encourage them to come to the district conference, which is going to be in April in Cherry Hill. So explain to them that as wonderful as the clubs are, there's a whole world of Toastmasters outside. Like some resources and tools. Almost all of these are on the district website under resources, tmdistrict38.org. Moments of truth. Moments of truth is one of the most powerful tools a club has. It's a self-assessment of the club. It takes it and looks at it from an objective standpoint of what a club does well, what the strengths are, and where there's room for improvement. It's a great way to, seek feedback from your members. And letting know what they can be done. Clubs do this in a different ways. Some do it like a Google form, some do surveys, some have several key members do a focus group on it, but it's a great way of seeing what your club does well. Agenda on the website, and clubs use Easy Speak, Free Toast Host, which are meeting software programs, but there's nothing wrong with an old-fashioned agenda. The templates are on the district website. When you walk into a meeting, when you're online with a meeting, somebody sends you an agenda that looks like this. You're sending the message, wow, we're a professional organization with an agenda. Highlight the fact that every meeting has an agenda. We teach people how to run meetings. For those of us who work, in the corporate world, we know most meetings are run poorly. Toastmasters teaches you how to run a good, proper meeting. Other resources and tools. Again, all these are on the district website under resources. Master your meetings. How to rebuild your club. This is designed to help clubs that maybe are under the minimum number of members for 8. How to rebuild the club. How to take a struggling club and make it a strong club. I'm not going to say it's easy, but with the dedicated members and the energy that they can create in a meeting, it can be done. It has been done. And sometimes a club struggles because of its own success. I've seen several clubs where it's a great club, they do great work, have great members, but because of that, the members get better jobs, they can move away, their priorities change. So they shift away from Toastmasters. Then you need to rebuild the club. Closing the sale. Remember, gaining members, it's a sales job. Closing the sale is a module that's going to teach you, it's going to cover a lot of what I covered tonight, but it's going to cover in more detail how to get somebody to sign on the application and pay the money. Creating the best club environment. You want to have a fun, energetic club. That's going to give you some tips on how to do that. If you've ever been to a club where they're just going through the motion, there's no energy, why would you want to be a part of that? Where you walk into other club, they're laughing, they're joking, they're having a good time, they're giving great speeches. Wow, I want to be a part of that. And membership growth, again, how to grow members, get members more involved. So, these are all available. Most of these you do not even need to log into Toastmasters website to do. You can just access them through the website. Other tools on getting new members, or getting newer members involved. A new club mentoring matters. So encourage mentors for newer members. And a Toastmaster wears many hats. This is great to send people who are just joining or interested in Toastmasters. This is going to explain each of the roles in Toastmasters and give some tips and some guidance. Also, for the newer members, they may not know what to say if they're timer, grammarian, Akan are the roles, how to handle it. Well, on the district website and Toastmasters International website, there are guides for each of the roles. They're aids. They're going to talk them through the exact script of what to say, how to explain the roles, and how to do the job. And lastly, pathways can be overwhelming, and a lot of people have trouble tracking it. I'm as guilty as anyone, tracking what speeches they give. They say, oh, when I get home, I'll update the computer. And then life happens. If you have a binder or something at your meetings, or have the vice president of education print out these forms, and again, all these are on the website, and then people can jot in, okay, I signed up this, I did this speech then we can look back and update the computer. And this way they're progressing through pathways, they're achieving their goals, they're working through the process. And when people see achievement in themselves, when they see growth, they're more likely to stick with Toastmasters and renew. Okay. Well, I knocked that out in a lot less time than I had expected. So do we have any questions? Okay. So give me a second. I'm going to show you some of the features of the district website. It's going to take me a minute to get that set up. Sorry, my browser is acting a little slow tonight. And if you have any questions, you can put them in chat. I'm able to see that now. The computer knows when you're doing live training. It's like, I'm going to work extra slow right now. Oops. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Okay, so this is the district website. If you haven't been there yet, you really need to check it out because there are a ton of resources available on here. And then I mentioned the contest schedule. So February is a ton of contests coming up at the area level. You have to register for most of them in advance, but it is going to be time well spent. It's going to be fun. You're going to see what Toastmasters can do. But as far as resources, so for club officer resources, we got the club leadership handbook, distinguished club, master your meetings, creating the best club environment. And then club central tutorials. So all the ones I referenced are right in here under club meeting resources. And if you're still meeting virtually, you need the Zoom backgrounds. This is where you can download them. That's one of the most common questions asked. Pathways resources. If somebody's struggling with pathways, if you have any questions on pathways, all the information is here. Marketing resources. If you need to know where to get information for your guest packet, and I will warn you that you can buy a guest packet from Toastmasters International. I'm not going to recommend it. It's one where I don't think it's worth the cost. If you have access to a good quality printer, you can take it to Staples, Office Max, one of those, and print out some of these. I like to hand out bright yellow folders. That way, if somebody takes it home, they lay it on their desk, it stands out. But this is where you can get the information and pick out which of these best meets the purpose that you're trying to send. If you're in a corporate club, maybe you want to go more the leadership, or about finding your voice. If you're more in speaking, is a better thing. So just got different topics, and usually 2 or 3 of these, but include an application. I like to include a calendar of your upcoming meetings. That way they can go put it on their bulletin board. They can put it on their refrigerator, because they may be intending to come to the next meeting and something happens, like, well, I can't remember when the next meeting is. They have the calendar, they're more likely to check it out. And then lastly, this is, if you only listen to one thing I say during this, go to this section. Regardless of what officer role you have, there is resources. So for the club president, VP education, VP membership, VP PR, treasurer, and sergeant at arms. So there's going to be, some of these are going to duplicate over multiple, but it's going to give you resources that are going to help you in your officer role. And then these different modules you can download. They used to charge for them, but I think they're all free. You can download them. Moments of truth, finding new members, evaluate to motivate, closing the sale, best climate. Some of these are and better speaker series. This is something, if you download them, this is great if you're in a club that is struggling for speakers, or you have speakers who may drop out the last minute. Have officers ready with one of these modules, maybe beginning your speech, concluding your speech, one of these topics. These are all modules that will benefit speakers. And even experienced speakers, sometimes we need to be reminded of the fundamentals. So check out the Better Speaker series and have your officers ready to do one at a moment's notice. They're all PowerPoint presentations, so you can use them as a crutch. Familiarize yourself with them, but it's one where you can do this on the fly. And that's pretty much all I have. What questions do we have? Oh, okay. What is the optimal club size? Between around 20. For those of you familiar with the DCP, Distinguished Club Program, they generally set 20 as the magic number. And that is also chartering strength. And the reason why they pick 20 is because if you have fewer than 15, you're going to struggle with having people to take on meeting roles. You're not going to have enough to have all the roles without double dipping or people pulling double duty. If you get into a case where you have more than 30 members, you're going to run into a case where people aren't getting enough speaking slots, and that's when they're going to get bored. As I said earlier, this is a learn by doing organization. This is something where you need to practice the skills regularly. So if you're not speaking at a meeting, it doesn't have to be a prepared speech. It can be table topics. It can be a meeting role. It can be Toastmaster. At least once a month, you're not growing your speaking skills. And that's when you're going to lose interest in the meetings. Somebody asked if I can go into more detail on moments of truth. And if you can bear with me a minute, this might be a good opportunity to take a little stretch break. I will pull up the moments of truth module, and I can go through that in a little bit of detail. So I'm just going to go mute and hide myself while I get that set up. So bear with me. Okay, I am back. So I'm going to share my screen. This is the Moments of Truth page. There is a full module for this, and there's a lot more to it, but this is a quick overview of Moments of Truth. So it's divided into different categories. So first impressions, people received warmly, name tags, guest. Pretty much everything I covered in my presentation. Membership orientation. Is there formal? Are you welcoming into your club, or are you just saying, okay, your check cleared, you're a member of Toastmasters? How are you getting them involved? Do they understand how meeting roles are assigned? You want to encourage them to speak, because I think all of us know from experience, no one ever feels they're ready to give their icebreaker. You ask somebody if they're ready for their icebreaker, the generic thing is, well, I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be. That is true. So it's just one where you just need to encourage them to speak. You want to explain little things. You want to find out why they joined Toastmasters. Everyone joins Toastmasters for a different reason. Don't make any assumptions. Most people think people join Toastmasters because they're afraid of public speaking. That's not always the case. There's some people who have no problem with public speaking. They just want to be able to do it better. They want to practice the skill. They may be doing it in a different environment than they're used to. Or they may want to actually go for the leadership. They may have taken on a new role. Now they have a team under them. They need to know how to be a better leader. So never assume you know why people join Toastmasters. Fellowship, variety, and communication. Are your meetings fun? One of my favorite sayings is, whatever night your meeting is, there's 1,000 other things people could be doing. I know tonight, there's a ton of other things you could be doing other than listening to me talk, but you're doing it because you're making a commitment. We want to have fun. We want to have a good time at your meetings, because we could be giving the best information in the world out. If you're not having a good time, you're going to find somewhere else to go. You know, and also with this is, are there social activities? Do you have non-Toastmaster events? Do you get together outside of Toastmasters? If it's go to a bar for a happy hour, maybe a picnic at someone's house, holiday parties, are you friends outside of Toastmasters? Program planning and meeting organization. This really sends the message to prospective members. Is it a well-organized meeting? Are all the agenda roles filled beforehand? Again, this is something that you want to use this as a teaching experience also, because no matter how good you are at planning your agenda, something always happens. Somebody gets stuck at work late, somebody's car breaks down, somebody's kid gets sick. Let people know that filling in the blanks agenda is really a skill that you learn, because you learn to move on the fly. Now, if every role is open, that's not sending a good impression. But if you need to fill 1 or 2 roles at the last minute because something happened, it's a good experience. Begin your meetings on time. That is one of my things. I started this meeting, training started at 6:30. I started at 6:30 on the dot. The expectation is that meetings start when they're supposed to start. For those of us in corporate meetings, 2 o'clock means 2:10-ish, if you're lucky. And then that throws off every other meeting throughout the day. So set the expectation that the meetings start, whether you're the only person at that meeting or whether everyone's there. Have creative table topics. Have some fun with it. Remember, table topics, the idea behind table topics is to have fun and practice your impromptu speaking. It's not to try and stump the person giving table topics. You don't get points for that. You want to have fun with it. And for the most part, table topics is the most fun part of any meeting. Positive and helpful evaluations. This is something else the club struggles with, is people don't feel comfortable giving evaluations to other people. They don't want to give negative, so they just focus on the positive. And that's great. If your members are new, if you can tell they're very apprehensive about speaking, feel free to highlight the positive. Maybe give them a couple ideas where they can change their speech, improve it. But you want to focus on positive. But for people who've been coming to Toastmasters for a year or two, they want hard-hitting evaluations. I'm not saying be mean, but you want to give them really strong feedback. I've learned over the years, and again, learned how to become a really detailed evaluator. And some people may think I'm a little harsh, but the people I'm evaluating, for the most part, they appreciate the feedback. I was in a meeting the other night and I was very critical, but they appreciated the feedback because this is how they grow as speakers. If you say, oh, everything you did wonderful, your speech is 10 for 10, I wouldn't change anything, why are they coming back? You want to be working. And yes, it is hard, but the better evaluator you become, the better speaker they become, and then you're forced to become a better evaluator. Membership strength, I did touch on that. The 20 is the magic number. Yeah, and again, if your club has 5 members, getting to 8, that's the magic number. If you're at 8 and you want to get over 12, so just set goals. 20 is an ideal number, but it's ideal, and whatever gets you to the next step is acceptable. Make sure your members are retained. This is one of those issues where we naturally lose members for whatever reason. Changes in their lifestyle, change in family situation, they move. That's acceptable. The ones that bother me are the ones who quit because they don't feel they're getting the value, whether it's their time or their money. These are the ones we need to work at retaining and bringing them back in. If a member misses a meeting or two, send them an email just saying we miss you, because nothing's worse than missing a couple of meetings, no contact, and no, they don't care if I'm there or not. Make them feel part of the group. Make sure your meetings have a variety. This is where themes come in handy. I know a number of clubs this time of year, we're doing Valentine's Day themes. Next month it may be like a St. Patrick's type, a luck type thing. Keep the meetings changing so they don't become boring and stale. And this is also where newer members really benefit the club, because you get a new group of people with different life experiences. If you've been in a club with the same handful of members for years, you're tired of hearing each other's stories. Let's hear some new stories. Let's get some new ideas. Let's interject some life into this club. Achievement recognition. When the member gets an icebreaker, are you awarding or rewarding that? Are you acknowledging that? My club, we hand out little tins of icebreaker mints when people get their icebreaker. It makes them feel special. Yes, it's a little corny, but it makes people feel special, and we have a little laugh at it. Hand out ribbons. Somebody gets a level award, make a big deal about it. If you're at a corporate club and you're meeting in person and you're back in the office, hand them a certificate. Print out a certificate for them, have them hanging on their office wall, on the cubicle wall. A, it's going to make them feel like, hey, I accomplished this. And B, it's also a way of getting other people to gain interest in the club. And then the DCP, the Distinguished Club Program. Make sure your members know you're working for that goal. It gives them something to shoot for. It makes them feel part of a team. Under the old system, the DCP, if you had one member get a DTM or a high-level Toastmaster award, they can pretty much guarantee that your club was going to be distinguished because they checked a bunch of boxes. Where under this new program, it really takes a team. Make sure people know that they can contribute to it. It may get them off the fence. Well, I'll get to my level 1 sometime. It's like, well, if you get to level 1, you can help the club become distinguished. That gives them a little motivation to get the energy going. So that answered your question about the moments of truth. There is more detail on that. That is another one of my passions. And then somebody had a question about Meetup. So the district right now pays for 6 Meetup accounts. We have, forgive me if I get some of these wrong, I know we have a Philadelphia area, King of Prussia, Harrisburg, Mount Laurel, Trenton, and Allentown. So that pretty much encompasses most of our area. And Meetup is a way for clubs to advertise themselves on, to other people who may be interested in looking for a public speaking group. So what you do is, if you're not familiar with it, you can. It's open to any different topics. There's games, there's singles, there's work events, that type of thing. But there's Toastmasters groups on there, and the district does pay for it. What you need to do is have whoever's going to be posting register as a member in whatever group or groups you feel would meet your goal. Like one of my clubs, we meet in Conshohocken, so the King of Prussia and the Philadelphia both are relevant. If you're meeting in the Harrisburg area, one of the South Jersey ones may not be relevant. So, but make yourself a member in any of those clubs that you feel would be relevant, and email meetup at tmdistrict38.org, or you can email myself and I can make you a registered an event organizer, which is going to enable you to post on your club. As far as how to post, check and see what other clubs are doing and find ones that you like and personalize it for yourself, but use that as a template.